Yep, don't hold that against me. But yes, I was a Leigh-on-Sea, which was, a great place actually.
John Lloyd wasn't just an ordinary tennis player. He was a tennis superstar, often dominating headlines with his record-breaking achievements. But his life off the court was equally headline-grabbing. His scandalous cheating controversies and shocking divorce from his wife left fans stunned. John Lloyd is a British former professional tennis player. In July 1978, he reached an ATP World Ranking of 21 and was the UK's #1 player in 1984 and 1985. Nowadays, he works as a tennis commentator. Lloyd made it to one Grand Slam singles final during his career, where he lost to Vitas Gerulaitis in the 1977 Australian Open. He also won 3 Grand Slam mixed doubles titles with Wendy Turnbull. Additionally, Lloyd was part of the Great Britain team that reached the final of the 1978 Davis Cup, but they lost to the United States. Lloyd was married to former top women's player Chris Evert. However, their relationship ended due to cheating scandals, which grabbed a lot of attention at the time. But before we tell you guys all the details, make sure to subscribe. In 1979, Lloyd married Chris Evert, the world #1 woman tennis player. After their marriage, she became known as Chris Evert Lloyd. The media dubbed them the golden couple of tennis, and they enjoyed several years of fame and attention. Their relationship had its ups and downs. They separated, briefly reconciled, but eventually divorced in 1987. Lloyd has mentioned that they were repeatedly unfaithful to each other during their marriage. He also hinted, without explicitly stating it, that his fiancée became pregnant by him and had an abortion against his wishes shortly before they were supposed to get married. In his book, Lloyd talks openly about Chris Evert's affair with Adam Faith, the former pop star who passed away in 2003. Lloyd felt it was important to mention this, saying not doing so would have been a cop-out. Despite the past issues, he holds no grudges against Evert. He acknowledges that by the time of the affair, they had already gone their separate ways. Reflecting on their past, Lloyd admits, "We were both young and probably did things we regret. Neither of us were angels." Because Evert had a higher profile career, the press sometimes jokingly referred to John Lloyd as Mr. Evert. Aware of how this affected his self-esteem, Evert tried to help by making sure they were always introduced as international tennis star John Lloyd and his wife Chris whenever they appeared together in the UK or Australia. Their biographer, Carol Thatcher, who was a friend of the couple, noted that this was as absurd as introducing her own parents as international business executive Dennis Thatcher and his wife Margaret. Despite their history, Lloyd and Evert remained friends. Recently, Lloyd reached out to her after she was diagnosed with ovarian cancer. On May 10th, Evert announced she had completed her 6th and final round of chemotherapy. Fortunately, things are looking positive. Lloyd remains confident in Evert's strength, saying, "She's a champion. She'll fight anything. Champions like her find a way. It's in their DNA." Her mindset would have been, "I'm down a break in the 3rd. Lloyd claimed that getting his second divorce actually saved his life. In 1987, Lloyd married Deborah Taylor Bellman, an American dancing teacher. Their marriage lasted for 30 years, ending in 2017. Together, they have 2 children, Aiden and Haley. Lloyd has shared that getting a divorce may have unintentionally saved his life. After his divorce, he moved to Florida, where he was diagnosed with prostate cancer. Fortunately, the cancer was caught in time and treated successfully. When Lloyd was diagnosed with cancer, he wasn't particularly surprised, even though he had been otherwise healthy and showed no symptoms. "I always felt that sooner or later, something was going to happen to me," Lloyd explains. "I'd been so lucky up to that point, so when I got the call saying I had prostate cancer, I wasn't really shocked. I just figured, you can't keep winning on the roulette wheel forever." Today, Lloyd lives in Palm Beach, Florida, with his girlfriend, Svetlana Carroll. Svetlana is a Russian-born estate agent, and the two seem to be enjoying their life together. Despite all his ups and downs, his career was extraordinary.
Players, because you've got to be sharp right from the first point, because there's no time to warm up. Whoever starts off quickest is going to win the set.
In December 1977, Lloyd made history at the Australian Open by becoming the first British male tennis player in the Open era to reach a Grand Slam singles final. In an intense match, he faced America's Vitas Gerulaitis and fought hard but ultimately lost in 5 sets, with scores of 6-3, 7-6, 5-7, 3-6, 6-2. It was a remarkable achievement, and it took another 20 years before any other British player reached a Grand Slam final. That player was British-Canadian Greg Rusedski, who made it to the U.S. Open final in 1997. Lloyd also had a notable run at the U.S. Open in 1984, where he reached the quarterfinals. However, Wimbledon, his home tournament, was always a tough battleground for him. The furthest he got in singles play at Wimbledon was the third round. Although Lloyd never secured a Grand Slam singles title, he found great success in mixed doubles. Partnering with Australia's Wendy Turnbull, Lloyd won 3 Grand Slam mixed doubles titles. Their first major victory came at the French Open in 1982. That same year, they made it to the mixed doubles final at Wimbledon, but finished as runners-up. However, Lloyd and Turnbull didn't let that setback stop them. They returned to Wimbledon with determination and went on to win the mixed doubles title there in both 1983 and 1984. These victories were significant highlights in Lloyd's career, showcasing his talent and resilience on the court. Lloyd reached his career-high singles ranking of world number 21 in 1978. In the final, Lloyd faced tough competition, losing in straight sets to Brian Gottfried and a young John McEnroe. Lloyd's dedication to the Davis Cup was remarkable. He represented the British team for 11 years. In doubles, Lloyd achieved a career-high ranking of world number 34 in 1986. As his playing career began to wind down, Lloyd didn't step away from tennis. Instead, he stayed deeply involved in the sport. He transitioned to coaching, sharing his expertise and experience with up-and-coming players. Additionally, Lloyd became a television commentator, offering insights and analysis on matches. He also remained active on the veterans circuit, continuing to play the game he loved. His post-playing career allowed him to stay connected to tennis and contribute to the sport in various meaningful ways. He then became a great captain. In 2006, Lloyd was appointed the captain of Great Britain's Davis Cup team, taking over from Jeremy Bates. His tenure started on a high note, with a series of victories that brought the team back into the world group. However, the retirement of key players Greg Rusetsky and Tim Henman in 2007 marked a turning point. Without their top talents, the team struggled and suffered 5 consecutive defeats, marking the worst run in their Davis Cup history. This led to their drop back down to the 3rd tier of the competition. Lloyd stepped down as coach in mid-2010. Since the 1990s, Lloyd has become a familiar voice as a commentator and analyst for the BBC's tennis coverage, especially during Wimbledon. He is well known for his trademark catchphrases, often using food and drink analogies to describe tennis shots. If a shot is too weak, he might say it was undercooked or needed more mustard. On the other hand, if a shot is overhit, he might describe it as overcooked, having too much juice or too much mustard. In addition to his work with the BBC, Lloyd also contributed to Sky Sports coverage of the 2009 U.S. Open. His colorful commentary and engaging style have made him a beloved figure in the world of broadcasting. That is it for this one, but if you happen to like tennis legends, make sure to check out our latest videos on our channel Tennis Icons. I'm sure you will love it.